You did not come all the way down to Brazil just to date mid chicks. You want the baddies. You want to date the most beautiful Brazilian women, not just any Brazilian women. You want to date the most beautiful ones. And lucky for you, you found the right videos. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that with no fluff. The first thing is you need to choose the right city. Choose the right city. If you're in a small country like Finland, I wouldn't think that, any two cities in Finland in such a tiny country could vary that much. In Brazil, it's like you can walk into like another time warp, like another universe, not even another planet, a parallel but yet extremely different universe going from city to city in Brazil. There are cities in Brazil where the unfortunate, very, very sad truth, and this is a global problem, so not to pick on Brazil, this is not a uniquely Brazilian problem, but there are just cities in general in the world where the pay-for-play, prostitution, sugar daddy, webcam model, whatever culture is so strong that virtually every girl that's above a 7.5 is going to be off limits to you unless you are paying. This is the case in Miami. This is the case in a lot of American cities. This is certainly the case in Medellin. And Brazil is no different. These cities would be more like Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. Fun fact too, when you guys close your eyes and you picture, what we as Americans tend to think of when we think of Brazilian girls, you may think of a beautiful face, long black hair, big booty, morena, or maybe just olive-skinned girl who's got a tiny waist and a fat ass. That is, fairly common in some places in Brazil, and that is very uncommon in some places in Brazil. For example, if you pick the wrong city, if you go to a city like Sao Paulo that has is very, very sad, has a big pay-for-play problem. By the way, never go to Brazil for sexual tourism. Never go to Brazil for prostitution. Respect Brazilian women. Brazilian women have the best personalities. They are fun, outgoing, charismatic. Quick side tangent. I'm in a different city. I'm not in Brazil right now, a different city in Latin America. And when I go on these dates, it's the same thing like when I talk to the camera. I'm in a room alone, just monologuing, speaking to a camera. That is the case in this other country that is not Brazil, the city that I'm in right now. These girls have no personalities. They are like robots. They someone forgot to put the seasoning on. They're the most boring girls. I'm like cutting my trip early, been on 9 dates here, and I haven't had a girl with like a single semblance of personality. Not the case with Brazilian girls. They have the best personalities. They're fun, they're outgoing, they're intelligent. Brazilian women are known, at least by me and the Passport Bro community, to combine very well, like having a job, contributing to society, learning, being educated, being able to challenge you a little bit intellectually while maintaining all of their femininity and their youthful, joyful exuberance. And they're just so bubbly and fun and, like I said, very, very feminine. So, but if you choose a bad city for dating like Sao Paulo, you're going to have a bad time because you're going to have unfortunate problems with a lot of sex work going on there. And also, when you close your eyes and you think of like this beautiful Brazilian girl with the small waist and the big ass and the big boobs and the pretty face, that is actually extremely rare in Sao Paulo. For whatever reason, the gene pool in Sao Paulo. Also, Rio. Listen, a bright day, summertime, it's 85, 90 degrees out. It's Carnival. You're in Ipanema on a Saturday. You're going to see gorgeous girls walking around Rio. But that's not the typical, like these YouTubers, they're lying to you. That's a farce. That's not, when you walk around Rio de Janeiro, it's not the most attractive women in Brazil. I've heard great things about the South, Curitiba and Florianopolis. I have never been there. We're going to talk about how that is going to be bad cities too, depending on who you are. And the north of Brazil is just better. I won't get into, I can't name any cities. It's dangerous for me to even make videos like this. Someone will clip a tiny negative thing that I said in this whole rant. I'm going to rant for probably 20, 30 minutes about how much I love Brazilian girls and they're so amazing. They're great person. They'll clip one tiny thing and put it out of context. If I say something that be kind of construed as a little bit negative. So I have to be careful. But yeah, the north of Brazil is better. So we're still on the topic of choosing the right city, right? So don't choose Rio, don't choose Sao Paulo, go to the north. Florianopolis, they're more of German/Brazilian looking. They're more white. But they still look Latino, most of them. Some look like just straight up white girls, but a lot of them have they're German descent with a good amount of Portuguese or native, like Latino and white mix. I have never heard of a white guy ever doing well in Florianopolis, ever. I'm talking Chads, big, buff, tall, tattooed guys. I've never been there myself, but I've heard every guy say the same thing. They're snobbish, they don't like Americans, and it's a bad dating market. But my no diddy, no homo, whatever, handsome business partner, Reggie, again, if Reggie's comfortable, he'll put a picture of himself on the screen. You guys maybe heard me talk about Reggie before. Reggie kills it in Florianopolis. So again, choosing the right city depends on the ethnicity you are. It depends on whether or not you want to learn Portuguese or not, because some cities there's a decent amount of English speakers. Actually, you got to learn Portuguese no matter what. I take that back. You got to learn Portuguese no matter what. But I'm just saying, depending on what you are, how different you look, and whatever. Sao Paulo, for instance, is also just as expensive as like a city in the United States. Now it's like ridiculously expensive. There's a lot that goes into choosing rights. I would just say, listen, if you're a black dude, try Florianopolis, Curitiba, maybe João Pessoa. That's actually not the South. And if you're anything else, including black, whatever, the north of Brazil is better. Now, another thing is about Brazilian culture. There's actually, of all the things, I think that's number one. Choosing the right city for you, aka basically just the South if you're a black dude, avoid Rio and Sao Paulo no matter what you are. And for the rest of you, do the north or the northeast, the nordeste, the northeast. Is the other big thing would be get good at identifying flakes. Get good at identifying flaky women. Brazilian women, I love them to death. They're so great. If I had to pick one little nitpicky bad thing about Brazilian women, some of them, not all, a lot of them, have a black belt in the ancient martial art, the ancient Japanese art of wasting a man's motherfucking time. There's something about Brazilian culture where you can just go into a city, like for example, Goiânia, Brazil has the most beautiful women in Brazil, hands down, but it's also the most flaky. You can match with, I'm not even joking, 80 to 90, 100 girls on Tinder, all gorgeous, and get flaked by all of them. It's not only my experience, other guys have confirmed this too. So I thought like, hey, is it just me? Is it something about what I'm doing or something on my profile? But no, other guys have confirmed this. They will go to Goiânia. They will match with beauty pageant winners and all these gorgeous girls. Or if it's cold approach, they'll have like amazing interactions in person. Flake, flake, flake. We don't know why. Maybe they're like, this dude's not going to like live in Goiânia. Like I'm just going to date a local guy. This foreigner's who comes to like, what American comes to live in Goiânia? That's a leading theory. Another theory is that there's a huge underground pay for play culture and all the girls are being financed by some sugar daddies. We don't know. Okay. And by the way, the whole sugar daddy thing, Brazilian girls being financed by sugar daddies, that is a global problem. I'm not picking on Brazil for that. It's worse in Miami. Miami Brickell is the worst I've seen. So I'm definitely not picking on Brazil here. I love Brazil. Brazilian girls, amazing, da-da-da. Don't cancel me. Don't put me in the news again. It's all good, okay? I love Brazil, so it's all good. Now, here's how you identify flakes, at least on a dating app. Or anytime you get a girl's contact information, here's how you identify flakes. You met her on cold approach. You met her on Instagram. Don't use dating apps. Instagram's better. That's what I teach. Contact information in the description of this bio if you want to learn how to meet girls directly on Instagram and never have to use a dating app ever again. More volume, less flaky, easier to deal with. There's not much competition. It's overall just like way better, way high quality girls, not as girls like dating app girls are usually like very low quality, bipolar, mental disorders, addicted to validation. They could be hoes, looking for sugar daddies, etc. Instagram is better. But whether it's from Instagram, dating app, whatever, you're judging a girl on three things in your communication. Number one, the response time between her messages. Does she respond right away or does she take a long time to respond? Number two, the quality of her responses. When she responds, does she give boring one-word answers? Or like you kind of write something and she writes a bit longer, then you write like a longer message and then like she's writing a full paragraph. And you're like back and forth, like texting each other paragraphs, voice notes that are a minute and a half long. That is a good sign. Lazy one-word answers with a high delay between the responses is bad. And then this is the biggest one is she asking you questions? Is she actually asking you questions or is it just kind of like interviewing her and you're carrying on the conversation? Now, if the girl's kind of boring, she's taking kind of a long time to reply, her answers aren't like the most thoughtful, long-winded answers ever, but she's asking me a lot of questions, that's still a winner-winner chicken dinner. I also have in the description of this video, you can find a link to my free Skool Community, the platform Skool School. And I have a text messages database with 70 plus copy and paste text messages that you can send to girls because when you're in the early stages, you want to send like quick, fluffy messages so it doesn't have to think too much. But later on as a compliance test, as a screening exercise, you can ask her longer, more thought-provoking questions like, hey, I was reading this random thing about like these 5 love languages. There's like, words of affirmation, physical touch, quality times, a few others. Have you heard about these like love languages? And what would you say would be yours, because mine is this one. You would not open a conversation with that. That would be very weird. That's after a lot of back and forth. There's a very long text that asks a lot of input from her. I didn't say you send that early on. I said you send that later in the conversation. And if she writes back this big, thoughtful response, you know she's going to go out with you, or at least she has a higher chance. Ultimately, if you can, you want to get her on a video call, 20 minutes of good charismatic video chat, probably 80 to 85% of the time after a video call, she will actually go on that. I've had girls flake me after like an hour-long video call. It's very, very sad. It's very depressing, but judge them on, response time, quality of responses. They're asking you questions, get them on a video call because Brazil could be, all of Latin America, but especially Brazil can be very misleading on like, oh, I matched with so many girls, or I got so many girls' phone numbers. And you're sitting there, wait a minute, like I went to the beach and did day game. I got, 6 numbers in a day. My dating apps are exploding. Yet why am I 3 weeks into here and I've been on like one date who was kind of a catfish, who was way uglier than her photos, and every other girl, like I've been on one, have I really been on one date in 3 weeks? Why is my phone exploding with like women, but I haven't been on a date? It's because the flake rate in most cities in Brazil is extremely high, unfortunately. You got to get really, really good at identifying the flakes. Number 2, understand that the man pays. This is something that, a lot of weirdos and guys with ugly girls will be like, they try to have like this ultimate, like, I don't know, bravado, masculine, I don't know, alpha, like fake alpha frame where they're like, I don't pay no bitches Uber. I don't take no bitches to dinner. I don't spend no money on no hoe unless she my wife at that point. It's like, bro, like I get it. You date ugly bitches. I date hot girls. It is what it is. If you want to date the most beautiful women in Brazil, that's what this video is about. The title of this video is How to Date the Most Beautiful Women in Brazil. You are paying and you are suggesting a nice restaurant, a dinner date, which, bro, as an American, you should be able to afford that in Brazil. You should be able to afford, if you can't afford a nice dinner date or an Uber in Brazil, shut this video off right now and find mentors and do everything you can to get your finances in order. Then come back to the video when you have, enough money in your pocket to pay a girl's Uber and pay girls, because if you don't pay the girl's dinner, pay the girl's Uber, suggest a fairly nice place, you will get flaked and you will not have any fun. You will just date. Again, we didn't come to Brazil to date mid chicks, bro. We came to Brazil to get the hottest girls, okay? Get the girls like that are the most different from the war pigs and the swamp monsters that we have in the United States, Canada, Australia, etc. The next one that I can give you is, this is not, well, to date the most high quality women, including beauty, you want to look for a girl that goes to church and has minimal tattoos. Brazilian women, love them to death. One tiny critique I have is that there's too many tattoos in Brazil. Unfortunately, yeah, they just have too many tattoos. It's a big part of their culture. I don't know how you feel about it, but me personally, I am not into women who have like weird, ugly, like bumper stickers. It's always a butterfly too. Here, editor, we'll put on the screen. We'll just kind of scroll through these. I'm gonna do a whole video. I've been saying this, but I'm gonna get around to it. I'm gonna do a whole video on the butterfly tattoo and why this is so harmful for society, but it's always a butterfly. Now, the reason why you want to date girls that go to church and have minimal tattoos is very obvious. They are much less likely to be promiscuous. They are much less likely, well, they're more likely to be girlfriends, like much less likely to be promiscuous, much more likely to be wifey, girlfriend material, low body count, never had a sugar daddy, not dating a whole bunch of guys, because Brazil has a very relaxed and open sexual culture. They're very liberated sexual, and that can lead to people getting around, let's say. So if you want a girl that hasn't been quite as active, then you definitely want to find a girl with a low amount of tattoos and a girl that goes to church. And it's very easy. You can like just look at a girl and tell if she has tattoos or not. And you can just ask them like, hey, when's the last time you've been to church? Now, is it a red flag? Do you want to like, cut off every girl that hasn't been to church? No, not necessarily, but it's just a big green flag. The next one is, and I've talked about this a lot before, so I'll make it really, really quick, is understand the sad reality of the world at large of pay-for-play culture, and that unfortunately it does also exist in Brazil. Investigate women. There are certain websites where you can kind of do facial searches of women, see if they appear on any like, webcam websites or anything like that. Research on your own time. I don't know if you know friends or, if you know mutual friends, put on your little FBI hat, who's she following, who's following her on social media. If you want to look through her phone, see if she'll let you look through her phone, right? It could be surprising, right? It's a very sad problem out there. And just be aware of it. Just be aware that like if you're getting flaked on by a lot of beautiful girls, it's probably because they have somebody financing them, right? Again, global problem, not just in Brazil. Learn Portuguese. I won't elaborate on this. Just learn Portuguese. Brazilian women only speak Portuguese. Maybe in a big city like Sao Paulo, 2, 3, 4%. If you use a higher quality dating app like Inner Circle, which is the best dating app in Brazil, at least I left Brazil about 6 months ago. At least when I was there. I think Inner Circle went down a little bit, but either way, Bumble, whatever it is, Bumble, Inner Circle invites a decent amount of English-speaking girls in a big city like Sao Paulo. There's always a few, gringo hunters that speak English on these dating apps. You can come in, take the low-hanging fruit. But virtually almost all girls just speak only Portuguese. Spanish will not get you anywhere. Spanish will not get you anywhere in Brazil unless the girl learned a little bit of Spanish. Some girls is like, they're like, I have a foreign language requirement to graduate university. I'm just going to take some Spanish because why not? It's so similar to Portuguese. And with those girls, Spanish will get you very far. Now, none of them have like very great, like if she took like a few semesters of Spanish at university, it's not going to be great Spanish, but it'll at least, do something. This is something that like, low IQ people think, oh, I just speak Spanish. It'll be a similar. No, it won't. No, it won't. They're two different languages, bro. They're similar, but they're different. Next one, learn day game. Also, your social skills probably aren't up to par. It's something that guys don't like to admit. That, my social skills are perfect and anybody doesn't like me, it's their fault. Like, no, bro, your social skills probably are not up to par and you probably need to improve them. Brazilian people are very, very social, very, very outgoing. And day game in the right city in Brazil can be your best lead source. Now, again, I'm famous for being like the Instagram guy. I'm the guy who says, uninstall your dating apps. I build a high status social media profile for men. We'll put up my photos. I want to do two things. So editor, you can put up my photos right now to show them what I mean when I say a high status profile, like, the blazers, the nice dinners, the group shots, the restaurants. We can put a little, 5-second clip of me giving a speech room full of people. This is Instagram that just like, basically stunts on everyone's fucking face and does all the work for me. Like when I follow a random girl, they follow back, 4 to 5 out of 20. No, I take that back. In Brazil, it was like, actually, editor, let's go through the shots of like in a 24-hour period, how many girls follow me back on Instagram. So you'll see here, 7, 8, 7, 6, 8. We're scrolling through the photos right now of like how many girls followed me back in Brazil. So Instagram is like fantastic. And that is like my number one strategy. We'll talk about that in a second, more about the Instagram stuff. And I still do prefer day game if I'm in the right city. I want to just say I prefer it. There's advantages like, you can go to a mall and sometimes you're walking around the mall on like a Wednesday and there's just like nothing there. It's just like dead. You're like, you can walk around for an hour and a half. You're like, bro, did I just waste an hour and a half? And then sometimes you go on the weekend, it's like a bunch of families. You're like, oh, I got to approach this girl with her mom. I have approached girls and gotten their phone numbers with their mom and then taken them on a date. And it's like a funny, cute story of how we met and stuff. But day game can be kind of low ROI on your time. And I do, I just like it because it's like the purest form of game. It's not a nightclub. There's no DJ or loud music or like, well, you have the promoter table. And then there's like, the client tables. And then there's like the DJ booth and like, oh, this like weird club hierarchy and loud music and the girl's drunk and she won't remember you the next day. I don't like that shit. I like day game. I don't have her fat friend. She doesn't like you. We're good. We're lesbians. I don't like that the fat frumpy friend like takes her away. It's just you and the girl, sober, well lit, environment with no distractions or chaos. And I would say learn that shit, and do it where you can. Beach cities can be good for day game. Again, I just don't recommend Rio. Fortaleza was okay. I wouldn't say it was my favorite dating market, but it was certainly orders of magnitude better than Rio and Sao Paulo, where, unfortunately, the majority of women, it's all about La Feria homes. It's all about, cheddar, WAP. Dinero, whatever you want to call it. And again, not to pick on Brazil. It's a global problem. In America, it's worse. So yeah, learn day game. It's a great lead source. And you'll just, better than meeting girls at the club. Like don't meet girls at the club. Again, considering the fact that Brazil already has a very active culture, if you know what I mean by active, girls with like the highest activity levels are in the nightclubs. And the last one I already touched on this is, learn IG, get an online dating virtuals and do the shit I do. Listen, contact information will be in the description of the video. I go through a lot of matrix attacks where I get my Instagram account banned. I get it back. It's banned. People can just ban your account. It is what it is. But if not, there'll be like backup accounts or maybe even a Telegram number. I'll put contact information if you want me to do this for you. But basically, this is really good because, again, unlike the low return on investment of your time for day game, again, you can be strolling through the malls, not seeing any hot girls. Night game, you have to be out. It's loud. If you're not spending a lot of money on bottles, the girls are kind of like chat for a bit and then like, kind of disappear. They have shiny object syndrome, bigger, better deal, whatever. Again, not every day is like what you see on YouTube where it's like Ipanema Saturday, January, which is summertime is January in Rio, Southern Hemisphere, right? Seasons are reversed. And you see like, these guys, like not every day is like that, bro. And again, you may just be talking to, a lot of sugar babies that are out there on the beach, just, hunting for rich guys. This is why because Instagram allows you to vet them right away, right? Like you can see like how many tattoos does she have? Has she ever been to church? A lot of girls that go to church post, religious stuff and, they put like religious symbols in their bio or show themselves at church, or they put like, Bible verses, Bible quotes in their bio. It doesn't necessarily mean she like lives up to those values per se, but it's like a good indicator. And yeah, how much skin is she showing? Is she shaking her ass on there? How many guys does she follow? What guys does she follow? Who follows her? Is her account public or private? I pretty much only date girls at this point with a private profile, though it wouldn't necessarily cut them off per se just for having a public Instagram profile, but it's not ideal. So, and it's, automation, man. You can just wake up and have leads served you on a silver platter. And again, like, whatever. I always talk about this. If you don't like this strategy, another good thing about having a high status social media profile is it works for a day game as well. Because a lot of times I'll meet a girl and she's on her lunch break. She's got to scurry off and get back to work. Or I talk to a girl, she's like, hey, great to meet you, but like my Uber's here in like 1 minute. So you have 1 minute till the Uber arrives. You got 2 minutes, she got to be back to work. She's on her way to the gym. It's not always like you can just instant date a girl. She's like girls are busy. Girls in Brazil actually work and actually contribute value to society. Unlike girls in like other cities like Medellin, Colombia, where they're pretty much all mindless sex robots. Girls in Brazil actually work and actually are smart and actually contribute to society and actually have good personalities. So they're not always free in the middle of the day to just be taken on a date. So you meet a girl, rather than getting a quick phone number or WhatsApp exchange, you do a quick Instagram exchange instead. And she goes, oh shit, that's the guy who said, hey, I thought you were cute, wanted to meet you. Oh, I got to go. Instagram. Okay, cool. Here's my Instagram. Bye. The guy she talked to for 30 seconds. Now she's, sees again, you guys remember my profile, right? The giving a speech, travel, cool places, great lifestyle. I don't know if we mentioned this, but I touch up my photos. Editor, let's show like some of the touch ups, right? Of myself, where it's like, maybe a physique shot that I've touched up to give myself a believable, like 10 or 15% better physique, or just even like color grading or editing photos where I made myself look a little bit better. She's seeing me in the best light. She's seeing the highlights of my life. I even put, we won't put this in the editing because I think I've showed this one a lot, but if you're curious, you can learn more, you can contact me. Funny, charming videos of me speaking Portuguese and acting out funny skits and doing like, like little funny, like, couples humor type stuff that they think is hilarious. I've had girls message me like, I can't wait to go out with you, based on your reels and the video content you've posted. I can just tell you have such a good, fun personality and like great sense of humor. Either girls that haven't met me at all or girls that we do like a 30-second exchange. All I'm trying to say is this: even if you're a big day game guy, the high status social media presence with the funny, charming video content and all this cool stuff will solidify and reduce flaking a lot from in person. Because now you have like the balls that you didn't approach in the first place. You approach confidently. And even if you didn't approach that confidently, if she can tell you a little bit nervous, it's still endearing and sweet that you had the balls to like even go approach her despite the nerves. It's a very masculine thing to take action, even when you're feeling fear and not, confident, you're a bit nervous, but that you still took action and still talked to her. And then the Instagram just kind of like spikes up your value even more. And I've definitely seen cases where I know I did a very average to mediocre approach, but the social media kind of saved my ass and made me look even better. So those are my tips. Listen, like I said a million times, you do not want to go to Brazil to date mid chicks. You don't want to learn a foreign language, deal with visa nightmares, being in a culture you completely don't understand, leaving all your friends behind to date mediocre girls that you're going to have sex with once or twice. And because they're not very beautiful, you're going to get tired of them. And again, like I said in other videos, good luck feeling like romantic, protective. You just want to die for this girl and care for her vibes. If it's not a girl you're extremely attracted to, follow these guidelines, especially understanding flaking and choosing the right city to begin with. Those are the two big ones. Choose the right goddamn city to begin with. Don't do Sao Paulo. Don't do Rio. Only do Florianopolis if you're a handsome black guy. For most of you fuckers, do the North or the Nordeste in Brazil, the cities you've never heard of mentioned on YouTube by these other weirdo dating coaches. You know, so many of these guys who just like put out Brazil content videos, some of them admit it, some of them don't. They just trick. Like they just pay girls. They're just going out to be tricks, which is not what I recommend. Do not go to Brazil for sexual tourism. Go there for legitimate relationships only. They're the best, most amazing girls, and follow this advice and you will date the most beautiful girls in Brazil. And you can subscribe for more free game. And of course, my contact information is in the description of the video if you want to work with me in some way. It's been a pleasure, boys. Peace out.